G'day, beautiful humans. Hello, I love you so much. Welcome to the Before I Go podcast. Thanks for joining me. I hope that the next little while of time together serves you well. So, let's get started. Here we go. What is the most loving thought that you can create about yourself? If you are listening to this or you're watching it, please press pause. I reckon I've heard a lot of podcasts or audiobooks say, now press pause, please, and go and do this act. But please press pause, right? Listen to this question. What is the most loving thought you can create about yourself? Think about it. Really dwell on it. Press pause. And if you're in motion somewhere, please just pull aside and write your answer down somewhere. What is the most loving thought you can create about yourself? Right? Go for it. Press pause and go and write it down in your text notes on your phone or a piece of paper or whatever you've got at your disposal to take it out of your mind and down onto literal or metaphoric paper. What is the most loving thought you can create about yourself? Once you've done that, welcome back. Thank you for pausing. Thank you for not just continuing to listen. If you want to be brave right now, send it to me, right? Pick up your phone, jump on emails, send me a text, or if I'm no longer around for some reason, because you're listening to this, I don't know, the day after I record it or the lifetime after I record it, send your answer to someone that you trust and love, right? Send it. What was your answer? What's the most incredibly loving thought that you can create about yourself? And if you don't have anyone in your life that you can love or that loves you and that you trust, send it to yourself, right? Write an email to yourself and put it down on paper. Because the answer to what you write down is who you truly are. This episode is called Becoming Our Beliefs, and I would love to start with a Gandhi quote that many of you, I hope, have heard, because if this fella didn't get wisdom downloaded straight into the soul, I don't know who did. So here's what Gandhi wrote. He said, your beliefs become your thoughts become your words become your actions become your habits become your values become your destiny. Oh, so good. See, most people that I work with, they want to change in their circumstances or their behavior or the way they think, right? And they want it deep down now. They don't say that. Like if I say, okay, when would you like to be able to accomplish your goals or get what you want? They'll work with me on an arbitrary date, but most want it now. Most of us want to wave the magic wand and here we go. So I just think that a lot of us want to be told exactly what to do, and it's not that simple. So what I want to do is just take a look at what Gandhi wrote, right? And science is now proving this. It probably has for the last couple of decades, to be honest, but the mind-body connection, some call it the quantum field, and even epigenetics are now proving exactly what Gandhi said. So I'm going to say it again, right? Here it is. Your beliefs become your thoughts become your words become your actions become your habits become your values become your destiny. I love it. I often sit down and work with people on what their top 5 values are. It was a great exercise that I went through several years ago. But man, we got to go upstream, well beyond values and even current behavior, right back to beliefs. If you want to change your life and your very being, it starts here, and it's much deeper than what you think and what you are conscious of, right? That's the nature of beliefs. A lot of us, especially you smarty-tomaties out there, would love to go, oh yeah, I know everything I believe. I would really encourage you to step back for a minute and be open to the possibility that a lot of what you believe is not at a conscious level. So here it is, right? We become what we believe. Your being reflects your beliefs. There's two books that I've been into recently that are great, and I would put them on the borderline must-read list or must-listen-to list if anyone has the inclination or the time. These are the two books. The first is The Biology of Belief by Bruce Lipton, and the second is Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Joe Dispenza. Don't be put off by the names and the titles. They had to try and get this incredible body of work down to a few words. But The Biology of Belief by Bruce Lipton and Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Joe Dispenza. I'm going to reference a few quotes from both of their bodies of work today. But as always, I implore you to put this through the lie detector test of your own life and lived experience, right? Put everything to the test of embodied action. So don't just leave this podcast as a philosophical exercise. Take what you want, live it, and make up your own mind. Write down your own set of beliefs instead of having them handed to you. It's single-handedly, pardon the pun, one of the most disempowering things I've seen is somebody who has accepted and then made unconscious a set of beliefs that have been handed to them. It's great to get you started like a pack of Lego, but ultimately you are the one who chooses what you create from that Lego. Some of us just like to follow the instructions and bam, out comes a castle. Other people get a little more inventive, right? Don't mistake your beliefs for the building blocks, right? You can create. So, here's what Bruce Lipton, very clever scientist, sums up in his own body of work entitled The Biology of Belief. So he's tried to do an entire book in one line. So this is it. Bruce says, our beliefs are more powerful than our reality. Our beliefs are more powerful than our reality. Oh! Often when I'm recording these, I feel like I would love to leave just large pockets of silence, because that alone would be quite challenging for some of us to reconcile. I can imagine heads whizzing right now to try and figure this thing out. Our beliefs are more powerful than our reality. What the heck does that mean? Maybe this is another time to pause what you're listening to and just go and sit with what Bruce is trying to gift to us. However, if I leave blank space in these podcasts, you're probably going to wonder if the screen's frozen or if your internet connection is stalled. So I'm going to keep going. All right, our beliefs are more powerful than our reality. If that is so, and as far as I can tell, the scientific evidence is pretty darn compelling. If it is so, and we want to grow or change or just love life more, we have to answer 4 questions that I created on the spot. Those 4 questions are this: what do I believe? Do you actually know what you believe? What is my experience of life when I hold that thought or belief? Right? So how do I feel when I am actually immersed in the belief that I am holding at the moment? So that's the second question. What do I believe? What is my experience of life when I hold that thought? And then when you realize some of the things you believe don't feel particularly great in the body and in emotions, how do I change that? How do I change what I believe? And most importantly, what new belief am I going to create? What do I believe? What's my experience of life when I hold that as being the truth? How do I change it? And what am I going to put in its place, if anything? Now, with everyone that I work with, let's not go that extreme. With pretty much everyone I work with, I think I've said this before, I love the guiding principle of you don't have to believe to belong. And it's something that I say because beliefs, when you get under the hood of their power and also their transient nature, you understand that beliefs do move around for a lot of people over the duration of what we will call their life. And it's not a prerequisite to love, but we make it so. Often we want to draw people into our world that believe what we believe as well, that have the same sort of values or ideas, or as I said, belief systems, because it's a little more comforting to be able to see in the clarity of light and day something that you already know, right? It's almost like a lazy shortcut, which is, If I can surround myself with people like me, then I don't have to do so much effort to to get to know them or to love them. But for me, you don't have to believe to belong. Man, believe whatever you want, and if it serves you well, enjoy the ride. But it's not going to be a barrier to me loving you, right? You don't have to believe to belong. Why is that? Because I can still love you and love human beings despite beliefs, because love transcends belief. It's probably the one thing Gandhi didn't write, is what comes before belief? Just pure love. And then we're going to have to figure out what it is you believe love to be, but that's for another day. All right, good luck to those of you who can stay on some of these tangents with me. It's fun, for me anyway. All right, so depending on when in space and time you listen to this, there has been quite a interesting swing back and forward between nature and nurture. Or a little while ago, science came out and cracked the double helix DNA code and said, here's how humans are made. This kind of helps us understand evolution a little bit more. And basically we can map out your genetic sequence or your DNA and predetermine your likelihood to have certain outcomes in your life, be they medical conditions or things that could be happening to your being, who you are, right? We thought that DNA was the map to who you were inevitably going to become. That's the whole nature side of things. Are you just born the way you are and you're predetermined to live that out, right? Or on the flip side, the environmental side, which is where epigenetics starts to play, it's the nurture side, right? Maybe the environment we exist in, which includes our beliefs, actually changes our very being and who we are. So, are we predetermined DNA buckets that are just going to live out the script if we're lucky enough to be alive long enough for it to play out that way? Or do we get a little bit of choice, and the environment and what we choose to become or choose to put into ourselves is what we output into the world? It's both, right? It's both. Nature and nurture. Epigenetics, wonderful stuff. I wish I knew more, but I don't. All I can do is say, hey, if you like the science, go and study epigenetics or read those 2 books that I just mentioned. I think something that helps me a little bit, if I haven't lost those of you who don't care much for science, is a bit of a garden metaphor. And, I would offer up a new belief or a new idea, which is the example of infinite creative potential. So I can't remember which of the 2 books it was in, or if I made this up myself, but here it goes, right? This is a garden metaphor. And what I took out is that every single seed of possibility has been planted within each of us. Right? So I know I'm going expansive with some thinking here, but just stay with me for a minute. In terms of a garden, every seed of possibility has been planted within each of us. Right? However, free will and the way you live will determine which seeds you water and nurture and what grows in the garden that is who you are. We were not predetermined to be anything other than the option and the opportunity to create what we want to be. So you have everything at your disposal. But for those of us who have lived a little longer and seen a few green stalks sprout or a few weeds grow, you know that we don't always water with perfect foresight the seeds in the garden that we would hope to have later in life. Right? That's just the way it goes, right? Sometimes we make decisions and take actions and we learn from them, and then we have to get down in your garden bed, get our hands dirty and start to prune some of the leaves, cut back some of the shrubbery. You know what I'm talking about. It's there's a time in most people's lives where it is, for some, an opportunity to go back to ground zero and rip everything out of the garden bed, put fresh soil in, plant some new seeds and water them and start again. Right? Some people call that a midlife crisis. Other people call that a fresh start and a new opportunity. I guess what you believe about that is up to you. So I think it's a remarkable thought to imagine that what is possible for you was already planted in you, and it's just up to you what you choose to water. So you are what you believe. And in school, a lovely little message that a lot of us hear is that you are what you eat. So let's just start with that. For the body, the physical form that we take around with us, you are what you eat. Most of our rational minds can pull that together, right? Okay, if I put this in, then certain parts of my body are probably going to grow larger or smaller, what we might call fat or skinny. If I do certain things with my body, if I put in exercise or strength, I might build muscle mass. You know how it works, right? You are what you eat. And then for the mind, Rene Descartes announced, I think, therefore I am. It's another thing most of us heard. I think, therefore I am. And in some ways he was spot on, right? You are what you think. Thought drives emotion, right? What we think is the garden bed for the plants that are our emotions. But for the soul, right? Not just for the thoughts. Not I think, therefore I am, but for your soul, right? I am what I believe. Right? I am what I believe. In fact, some might suggest that we flip Descartes' phrase, and instead of I think, therefore I am, if you can get underneath the noisiness of words and thoughts, I would suggest that I am, therefore I think. Right? Thought is like Play-Doh that we get to enjoy and use. But to think that we are, or believe that we are just the sum of our thoughts, that can be pretty limiting. I am. Therefore, I have the freedom to think. That's what the Creator says. And that's who you are, according to my belief structure anyway. All right. When you come out and say, I am, I think I mentioned this in an earlier podcast about the power of words. Saying I am is powerful, right? And when I started this gig as coaching, there was a big difference between the mindset of becoming a coach versus saying I am. Right? And coaching is just one small articulation of the human experience for a tiny percentage of the population. Who do you want to be, right? Who are you becoming? And most importantly, what happens if you embody that now and you say, I am whatever it is you want to be now, instead of postponing it out into the future? If your mind and your body align, miracles happen. But we'll touch on that later. In fact, I think I'll do a whole nother episode on the power of visualization. There is some incredible evidence around what happens to your body and your mind and your very person when you align your mind and your emotions on who you want to be. If you can visualize situations, powerful stuff. But I'll get to that in another podcast, right? For now, I just want to give you the invitation to look into the power of this small but important phrase, I am. Right? It's a bold statement. And it's not a meaningless usage of language, right? Who you are is your very being. So it's easy to get caught up in the exterior world of beliefs, right? Often our beliefs are handed down to us from our families, or they're conditioned into us by schooling or media. And if we listen to the outside world to tell us who we are, that's who we're going to become. Right? And we are actually denying the innate freedom to create this for ourselves. It's a different thing. Yeah. If you do listen to what everyone says you are, that is what you're going to become. I'm more interested in who you say you are, right? Instead of who your boss said you are, or who your parents said you are, right? Or who your third grade teacher said you are. I want to know who you say you are, because that's the most powerful thing. So, listening to the outside world. I've mentioned before this belief that many of us hold about what we want to change. And a lot of people say they want to change their situation. Some people say they want to change another human being. But ultimately, those two take care of themselves when you change yourself, when you change who you say you are or what you say you are, right? It's the if-then model of happiness. So this is the question, right? What conditions do you place upon your happiness? What is your if-then, right? Do you have beliefs around future scenarios that need to occur for you to be happy, right? They often go something like this: if I have more money, then I'll be happy. If I have longer to live, if I lose weight, if I avoid pain for the rest of my life, or if I had more time, then I'd be happy. There's such limiting beliefs for so many people, and the list goes on, right? But what I would encourage you to just consider is what Bruce Lipton said, right? That our beliefs are more powerful than our reality, because here's the reality of some of those if-then statements. People who are saying, I'll be happy if I can just get a different job. Your old job that you hated is the dream job for someone else. I think I might have mentioned this in a previous podcast, so sorry if I'm repeating myself. Some good stuff deserves repetition. You know, your ex-husband or wife or partner that you despise is the dream partner for someone else. They're the best thing since, you know, I don't know, whatever you can slice. The size of your pants that you despise is the image of attractiveness for another. That's a really poorly announced way of saying, look, what you see as your physical appearance, and whether you love it or not, you might have heard some horrible stuff said to you about how you look, but nothing's going to be more horrible than what you say about yourself, right? And how much you weigh or how healthy or unhealthy you think you are. There are people out there that are going to see you and just think, oh, they are beautiful. They are loving and amazing, because that's what their beliefs allow, right? So the size of the pants that you despise yourself in is the image of attractiveness for another. We become our beliefs. What a crazy thing. All right, we become our beliefs. So I am currently fascinated by ways to change beliefs, and there are many. However, a couple of things just to get you started on if you want to go down this path of exploring beliefs. The first is that there is a lot to be said for time, focus, and repetition of new beliefs. So it's a little bit like what do they say when you just white knuckling it, right? It can work if you just, you know, use sheer willpower to override the old content on the hard drive of your belief system and put new stuff in there, right? It works. It just requires focus and time and a relentless commitment to repeat new beliefs. So that can work. A lot of us have had many years of conditioning that have reinforced some of our limiting beliefs. And so I honour that for some people this is not a quick fix. It takes time to unwind the concrete or the apparent concrete nature of old beliefs. So repetition works. Insight works. Now, I've said this before, but you can have a powerful enough epiphany to change not just how you see the world, but your very being, right? Some aha moments that people have, they're never intellectualized. Their whole body responds, right? Something in them, their emotions, their mind and their body go boom, and all of a sudden they are never the same, because they can never see themselves or the world the same way again, because they have just gone, oh, whoa, I get it, and I always knew it. And that's the magic of insight. One of my particular favorites, if you can open up to the possibility of hearing some deeper truth that you already have, insight is powerful. And the biggest barrier I can think of to having life-changing insights is reinforcing the smallness of some beliefs. They can be a barrier. It's a funny thing. We become what we believe, right? And that can hold us back, or that can set us free. That's powerful. I guess that's creation at its core, right? your capacity to create is not always going to be predetermined as having a positive or a negative outcome. It's just really powerful, as are you. Anyway, I digress. How else can we change beliefs? Understanding the true nature of thought. Okay. The true nature of thought is what many call God. It's pure creation, and it's at a non-personal level. But we make it personal, right? Our thinking makes so much stuff personal. We make up stories where we are the center of the universe. We're tiny. We're enormous, and we're tiny. But we make ourselves the center of the universe. And then that type of thinking is really dangerous, right? It almost had Galileo killed for believing the opposite. Everyone thought that the universe and the sun and the moons, revolved around Earth, and Earth was the center of the universe. And then along comes Galileo and says, guys and gals, I think we might be missing the mark here a little bit. Perhaps Earth is not the center of the universe. And it was called heresy, He believed that the Earth revolved around the sun, and the prevailing wisdom of the time said, no. In fact, anyone who argues with our truth, is a heretic, and we shouldn't have them killed. The world took it personally that the world is not the center of the universe. And so we do that with our silly little selves, our beautiful, funny little human selves. We make a lot of stuff personal. So what happens when you click, when the insight arrives and you understand the true nature of thought? You realize it's not personal, and then in that beautiful moment, thought becomes so intimately personal and loving. Yeah. That one's for the thinkers and the non-thinkers. It's a funny thing. When you stop thinking so much is personal, or that you're a victim of your circumstances, you get really liberated. And some of the most free people on this entire planet are those who have just let go of the importance of self and got on with the humble, often quiet and understated work of serving others for the pure love and connection that it affords. It's remarkable. It's only when we make ourselves the center of the universe that we get so fragile and insecure about these threats that could come our way. So, yeah, perhaps for another time as well, there's a cracking book called The Four Agreements by, I think it's Don Miguel Ruiz. And one of the four agreements states that, don't take it personally. Wisdom, very good wisdom. I think it's from the Toltec stuff. Anyway, so seeing that transient nature of thought, right, understanding the true nature of thought, there's a couple of other things that are more common around how you change beliefs. And of course, you only want to change a belief if you really figure out how much of an impact this has on you. Otherwise, you just think beliefs are, just funny little things. They are life changers. So I think I've mentioned beliefs over time exercise. It's the first little crack in the illusion that the way you see the world is true. Go and map out your life in 5-year buckets, starting from as early as you can remember, maybe 5 years of age, 5, 10, 15, 20, and then just pick let's go with a big bopper topic. Let's go, what do you believe about God? And try and remember and write down how your beliefs have changed, or what you believed about God in this example at 5 years of age, 10, 15, 20, so on and so forth to the current day. And you're going to see that your beliefs, they are very transient, very honest, but very transient. They just change. So beliefs over time works, or I think I've mentioned it before, inquiry, just being able to pause long enough so that what you believe comes out of the subconscious or the unconscious mind and up, and you can kind of have a proper look at them. The work by Byron Katie is excellent for that. So hook in. I think I've sent you on about 5 different journeys if you want to follow any of them. And of course, why would you want to look at your beliefs if you have a belief that you don't need to? That's a very funny thing in itself. Often those of us are going, oh yeah, that's interesting and novel, but I don't need to do that. Welcome to the world of denial. It's great. Yeah, beliefs. So here's a few more things to wrap us up. The freedom to believe anything equals the freedom to be anything. The freedom to believe anything equals the freedom to be anything. And in my experience, that freedom does not result in some kind of anarchy, right? Often we hang on to our beliefs because we think that perceived certainty helps us make sense of the world and ourselves and gives us some sort of security, because we're scared of what we don't understand, right? Many of us anyway. But when you let go of the need to have beliefs, or when you cotton on that you can believe anything and that is transformational, you don't end up with anarchy, right? We actually find freedom and you fall in love. It's a funny thing. You kind of let go of this little personal reality that was keeping us fenced in, and we connect. When you let go of many beliefs, you start to play, you start to create, you start to love again and experience joy. It's the strangest thing, right? That's what's on the other side of limiting beliefs. Not some sort of vast, deep ocean that you don't think you can swim in. It's more like a life raft, and at the worst, or a beautiful sailboat at best, and you can just start to cruise around with a little more freedom. So yeah, that's what's on the other side of limiting beliefs. It's not some empty space or a morally bankrupt canvas for chaos. That's some fearful thinking. I had a funny little thought. What came first, the belief or the behaviour? We love those things. Most of the time it's the belief. The belief precedes the behaviour. It's those conditioned stories of cautionary tales of woe and success from others, right? We inherit so many of our beliefs. What you put into your being shapes and creates it, right? I'll say that again. What you put into your being shapes and creates it. And that's the breakthrough of the epigenetic movement, right? And science. Or in other words, what you put in is what you become. Excuse me while I move my cat. Yeah, what you put in is what you become. Whether that is uplifting or inhibiting beliefs or personal or physical toxins or toxic humans, right? What you put in really does determine who you are. So if you don't like who you are, change what you put in and you will adapt to it, right? Because who you really are is ever-changing and it's not constant. You will respond to what you put into your environment. So do you want to put in, as I said, uplifting beliefs, positive physical substances, and loving humans, or the other way? I feel like this is one of the big jokes that half the world is in on. Either you live with your circumstances and you're happy, or you live with your circumstances and are unhappy, sedate, and numb. The only thing that makes the difference is what you believe yourself to be. Who you choose to be in this very moment shapes your reality. So again, as Bruce Lipton says, far more simply than what I've just said, our beliefs are more powerful than our reality. So beliefs that are repeated over time eventually become embodied. This has been an aha moment for me. Right? It's not just a cerebral exercise. If you continue to repeat it over and over and over again, it does sink into your body, your emotions, right? And then instead of our emotions responding to our thinking, they become so habitualized and conditioned that the way we are being, our body, our feelings start to determine our thoughts. Some of the great work that I've mentioned before Sid Banks does is just to help us recognize that thought shapes our reality. But we also like to offload consciousness and awareness and make things habitual. And when enough negative thought or beliefs or memories have become habitualized and repeated, it sinks into our body and it becomes our emotional response. It becomes quite a strange cycle. So beliefs that are repeated over time eventually become embodied. becomes a part of your very body, your muscle memory, even your chemical composition and your self, right? Unwinding those beliefs, particularly if you've spent a long time reinforcing them, it might be seen as being, challenging. And here's what I'm going to suggest. Really strong beliefs that you are conscious of or unconscious of, to unwind them takes a miracle. Which raises the question, what do you believe about miracles? Right? When I say a miracle, I'm not saying it's impossible, right? Because I'm saying that a miracle tends to be something beyond what we believe is possible. That's all. Right? And often we continue to tell ourselves a story about who we are or how the world works and hold that as truth. But to believe that miracles are possible and to know that, that's powerful. But it does require one thing, right? If a miracle tends to be something beyond what you believe is possible, then a miracle is something unbelievable, right? I'll say it again. A miracle is something unbelievable. That's exactly what it takes. This is it. Right? Miracles require you to be willing to unbelieve a thought you held about who you are and what you're capable of. Right? Can we unbelieve a thought? Because I like the unbelievable. I like the miraculous. I like how loving that is. To think that change and transformation and a remembering of who we really are is, well, that's unbelievable. And it's completely about what you believe. What it takes is the courage to unbox the convenient smallness of the beliefs that we have placed about ourselves and each other and God and miracles, right? How small have we made those things? To wrap up here, right? The more embodied a belief is, the more often we tend to trace it back to a repeated past or memory or history. And humans are funny like that, right? As far as I know, we're the only expression of creation or evolution, or both, that can suffer through an event and then prolong the suffering by continuing to refresh that experience in our thoughts and memories about it. Right? It is as simple as saying, if you continue to repeat a traumatic experience, which is now held as memory over and over again, the body responds, just as it does respond to powerfully wonderful, loving thoughts. Right? Your body responds. You get a funny crease on your face and your mouth opens up and you smile. Right? The body responds to what we put into it and to what we create within our mind. So it feels the impact of your beliefs, right? Your repeated memories and thoughts. Right? So I'm going to come full circle now, right? What is the most loving thought you can create about yourself? Did you write it down? Did you? Did you press pause? Did you send it to me? Did you send it to someone you love or trust? Did you send it to yourself? What is the most loving thought you can create about yourself? Be that. Whatever you wrote, it will start with I am. And whatever you put after that statement, I am, is the invitation to be that very belief that you can hold about yourself. What is the most loving thought you can create about yourself? I want to know. I really want to know. But more than me wanting to know what that thought is, I want you to be that. And I want you to know that. We become what we believe. So here are 3 beliefs that I leave you with that I embody now. My experience, my understanding, and my actions make these true. these 3 beliefs that I embody because they're in me. They are me. I am loving, miracles are, and you are creator. I love it. I really hope that you get to just feel the palpable power of beliefs, and that anything I've shared with you helps you to have that aha moment that we become what we believe. Seriously, wonderful business. Much love to you. I'll see you on the other side of whatever it is you believe the other side to be. Just winked at you to say goodbye. Thanks so much for listening and sharing this space with me. I really, really hope this has served you well and it continues to do so for years to come. I love helping others, so if you would like to experience the power of creating together, please reach out to me. I'm here to help. And if you want to be on the podcast and leave a legacy, check out the contact details on my website, lyndenrochford.com, or you can find me on Facebook. I'd love to hear your story before I go. Wishing you so much love from the inside out. I'll see you soon.